There's a question almost no pet owner has the courage to ask out loud because they're afraid of the answer. Out of everyone living in your house, did your dog choose someone to love more? And if it's you, how would you even know? And if it's not, what does that really say about the bond the two of you have built? Stay until the end, because the answer to this question isn't what most people imagine, and it's going to make you see the small things your dog does every day in a completely new light. Most owners think their dog loves everyone equally, as if his heart were divided into perfectly equal pieces among the people in the house. But anyone who watches dogs closely day after day notices it isn't quite like that. Before we go on, write down in the comments the name of the person you think is your dog's favorite, because I'll bet you already have a guess, even if you've never said it out loud to anyone. Dogs form bonds with different intensities, and that isn't a lack of love for the other people in the house. It's simply how their brains work. Just as a young child tends to attach more to whoever spends the most time caring for them, feeding them, playing with them, offering them security, a dog makes almost exactly the same emotional calculation, only in a much simpler and more honest way. He doesn't choose based on status. He doesn't choose whoever works the hardest or whoever pays the bills. He chooses whoever makes him feel safe. And that choice is often made in the very first months of living together, back when everything still felt new and frightening to him. Think back to the first time your dog arrived at your house. Small, or maybe already grown, but either way lost in an unfamiliar place, surrounded by new smells and sounds he couldn't yet identify. In that moment, his brain was silently asking a question: who here is going to take care of me? Who can I follow when I'm afraid? The person who answered that question with the most consistency, the most patience, the most presence, usually becomes the favorite. It was never about who handed out the most treats. It was about who always showed up when it mattered. Researchers who study canine behavior have found that dogs develop what's called a secure attachment to certain people, a concept similar to what's observed between human babies and their caregivers. This means your dog uses that person as a secure base for exploring the world. If you've ever noticed your dog staying calmer in new places when you're nearby, or looking at you before deciding whether something is dangerous, that's exactly this mechanism at work. He isn't just with you, he's orienting himself by your presence. There's a scene that tends to repeat itself in a lot of households, and it may have already happened in yours without you noticing what it meant. It's that moment when the whole family is gathered in the living room, everyone's spread out across the couches, and the dog, after making his rounds, sniffing every lap, taking pets from everyone, ends up lying down right next to one particular person. That wasn't a coin flip. It wasn't chance. It was a choice. And it's exactly that kind of choice, repeated day after day, week after week, that reveals who holds the most special place in his heart. If that's starting to make sense to you, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, because we're about to get to one very specific sign that only the favorite person receives, and most owners have never noticed it before. Now, here's a detail that tends to surprise a lot of people. The favorite person isn't always the one who spends the most physical time near the dog. Sometimes it's whoever gives the best quality of attention, even if it's for less time. An owner who comes home after a full day out, but who kneels down, looks the dog in the eyes, talks to him, plays with him for a few minutes with full attention, can become more important to the dog than someone who's home all day but distracted, on their phone, never really connecting. Dogs can feel the difference between physical presence and emotional presence. That's exactly why there are dogs who wait anxiously for one specific person's car to pull in, even though that person is out all day, while another person in the house, always there, gets a calmer, quieter reaction. That doesn't mean the dog loves the other people less. It means he's set aside a special place for whoever knew how to show up the right way. And if that's you, you've probably already noticed small signs without knowing exactly what they meant. Maybe it's the way he follows you from room to room for no clear reason, just so he isn't far from you. Maybe it's that soft little whine when you step away, even if it's just to go to the kitchen. Small gestures that, added together, tell an entire story about the place you hold. Let me tell you about one of these signs, one of the most beautiful ones there is. When your dog sleeps, he moves through phases of light sleep and deep sleep, just like we do. And during deep sleep, his body becomes completely vulnerable. No alertness, no defenses. In nature, an animal only enters that state when it feels absolutely safe. because that's the moment it would be most exposed to danger. If your dog chooses to sleep with his back turned to you, belly exposed, body fully relaxed right next to you, he's making the most sincere statement a dog can make. He's saying, without words, that with you, he doesn't need to protect himself from anything. If you've seen this happen, or if you're seeing it right now while you watch this video with him next to you, send this video to someone who also deserves to know just how loved they are by their own dog, because sometimes we all need a reminder like that. There's another sign that confuses a lot of people, and it's actually one of the clearest proofs of who the favorite person is. You've probably noticed that when someone new comes into the house, or when there's a strange noise, or some situation that makes the dog uneasy, he runs to be near one specific person. Not necessarily to hide behind them, but to stay close, seeking what experts call social referencing. The dog is essentially asking, through his behavior, whether that situation is dangerous or not, and he's asking that question to the person he trusts the most. If a stranger rings the doorbell and your dog barks, but then looks at you before deciding whether to relax or stay on alert, he's using you as his emotional compass. That doesn't happen with just anyone in the house. That happens with the person the dog has chosen as his main source of security. This behavior also shows up in much simpler everyday moments, almost invisible if you're not paying attention. A storm outside, distant thunder, a vacuum cleaner running in the next room. Notice who your dog runs to in those moments. Notice who he wants to be closest to when the world suddenly feels a little scarier. That choice, made instinctively, without thinking, without calculating, is one of the most honest ways a dog has of revealing who his emotional anchor really is. And there's one more detail that science has confirmed in a beautiful way. Studies on eye contact between dogs and humans found that when a dog looks at the person he loves, his body releases oxytocin, the same hormone tied to the emotional bond between mothers and newborns. And the most interesting part is that this rise in oxytocin happens even more intensely specifically in the relationship with the favorite person. When the two of them look at each other, both bodies, the dog's and the humans, enter the very same chemical cycle of connection. Which means that when your dog chooses to look deep into your eyes, stopping whatever he's doing just to gaze at you for a few seconds, he isn't just curious. He is, quite literally, falling in love with you all over again. Tell me in the comments, does your dog tend to seek out your gaze when something changes around him? Does he look at you before reacting to something new? I really want to know how this shows up with your dog, because every story is different, and each one is beautiful in its own way. Now, to bring everything together, there's one last truth that might be the most important of all. There's nothing wrong with not being your dog's favorite person if that happens to be your case. A dog's love doesn't work like a competition, it works in layers. He can have one person who's his main emotional base and still deeply love every other person in the house, each in a different way. The dog who runs into someone's arms when he's scared can be the very same dog who waits anxiously for someone else's car to arrive, the same one who sleeps at a third person's feet every single night. A dog's heart doesn't divide, it multiplies. And maybe that's the most beautiful part of all this. Even when a dog has a favorite person, he still keeps a place of his own for every other person in the house. The child who plays with him every day after school. The grandfather who always saves a little bite of food to share on the sly. The person who only shows up on weekends but earns a full celebration just for walking through the door. None of these bonds are smaller. Each one is a different proof of the very same love. Before we finish, subscribe to the channel now, because next week I'm going to show you a sign most owners completely misread, a behavior that looks like anger but is actually one of the strongest proofs of trust that exists between a dog and the person he loves most. So if you've made it this far wondering whether you're your dog's favorite person, maybe the answer is hiding in simple things you'd never noticed before. In the way he searches for you with his eyes when something changes. In the way he fully relaxes next to you, in the way he chooses to stay by your side even when the rest of the house is right there. Whether you're the favorite or not, one thing is certain, you are part of the most important emotional map this dog has ever built in his life. And that alone is reason enough to hold him a little tighter today. If this video made you think of someone who also deserves to discover this about their own dog, share it with them right now Because sometimes what we need most is simply to hear that we're loved in a way we don't always notice.